Hi, my name is Dr. Rayshawn Ray, aiming to speak truth to power, and this is my daily thought. This is a sociological analysis of Jay-Z's The Story of OJ. So obviously Jay-Z came out with a new album, 444. Amazing album. Could be argued his best work to date. Definitely probably the realest and deepest messages that he's given out. I'll talk about the song, specifically 444. That was an apology to Beyonce at a later date. But now I want to talk about the story of OJ. So in the story of OJ, Jay-Z makes a statement that says, basically OJ is like, I'm not black, I'm OJ. And then Jay-Z was like, okay, basically saying that no matter what kind of black person you are, that people can still call you the N-word. Whether or not you're light-skinned or dark-skinned, rich or poor, man or woman. And, that's true. And so as we think about the sociological analysis of the story of OJ, I think there are a few things to break down. The first thing is, why would a person like OJ say that? Well, similar to what I've, mentioned about other individuals, whether that be Jason Whitlock or Tommy Sotomayor or, Sheriff Clark, who's always on Fox News, that if these individuals admit that everything they've worked hard for, basically been better than anybody else in what they did. And when OJ was playing football, and even still to this day, he's considered one of the best to ever play football, one of the best to ever play his position. That if all of a sudden they have to admit that that racism still exists, then what is that saying about everything that they've accomplished? That everything can be squashed in a second's time. Now, I should also add this from just to definitely get this out here. I think that the timing of what Jay-Z did, he had to have, either he had some insider knowledge or he just predicted that OJ would be getting out, or maybe he had no idea. But I think it really came from him watching the OJ series earlier in 2017, seeing the way that OJ kind of went about his life in certain spaces. OJ clearly has a problem with women, and he clearly has some internalized racism issues. And I think it's clear that he murdered his ex-wife and Ron Goldman. I think that's very clear. I think it's also clear that racism was embedded in LA trying to get a conviction on him. And I think on the jury that they viewed that there was some reasonable doubt there. That yes, there was probably planting of evidence and it was probably racially motivated. So even though a lot of individuals think that OJ did it, there are also many people who probably would have found him not guilty in a court of law for what he did. Should he have been in prison for as long as he has been for this recent incident in Las Vegas where he was stealing back his property? Probably not, but hey, that's karma, right? So OJ is supposedly getting out in October 2017. And the point is of Jay-Z's The Story of OJ. Yeah, it's about OJ, but it's also about the way that black people view blackness and achievement in society. And how in many respects we are experiencing what W.B. Du Bois called a double consciousness, where we're able to see ourselves through the eyes of other people. It's like if you take the glasses and all of a sudden you see something and then you see something else. And that is kind of something that over time black people acquire. And I think a lot of marginalized groups acquire, where you're able to see yourself through the eyes of the other. You're able to see yourself the way that others see you. For a person like OJ, he didn't necessarily want to see that. He viewed that his life was different. And of course, we always have certain tokens, right? When it comes to tokens, Moss Beth Cantor talked about this. When we have tokens, yes, tokens can be marginalized and they experience token stress, but oftentimes there are a few people who are able to get all the way through. And by them getting all the way through, it suggests that other people haven't done what they've done. And then part of the system is to treat those tokens better than everybody else is treated. And then when that happens, those tokens start to actually view themselves as being different and special, right? And that's what OJ was doing. So I'm not black, I'm OJ. But it's funny, he definitely relied on that racial narrative for his case in 1994. He definitely did that. So, I'm not black, I'm OJ. If he stood to being OJ that much, he wouldn't have let them play the quote unquote race card, which really, I think that's kind of disingenuous, because they were playing the cards they were dealt, because there was racism embedded in that case and in what was happening in Los Angeles during that time and what continues to happen. Dr. Adia Harvey Wingfield, who is at Washington University, has a book called No More Invisible Man, and she talks about these complexities in her work. I've done research on black and white fraternity men, finding that that black fraternity men experience this level of double consciousness when they go throughout the campus community because they don't have the protection of a larger community that white fraternity men do, whether that be the white population on campus, the white population in the city, and even the size of the fraternity, that leads to a certain level of token stress and double consciousness for black fraternity men that it doesn't for white fraternity men. And I think this is a microcosm for what happens with professional blacks and professional whites in society. Pika and Fagan also talk about this, right? Where they talk about the ways that minority students experience marginalization on campuses. So when we think about the story of OJ, Jay-Z hit it. And his point is that no matter what I do, and thinking about Jay-Z or even myself, there are certain things that can unfortunately not be overcome in the current society that we have. And if we really want to have an egalitarian society, we really have to change things up from the way that we have been doing things traditionally. That the argument that all of a sudden, if we just keep progressing, that things will get better. Well, we got Trump in the White House, so pretty much one of his main agendas is to deconstruct everything that the Obama administration did over the previous 8 years. And we're seeing a lot of that happening, even though it's difficult for him to get certain things through like healthcare, but he's definitely able to make progress as it relates to rolling back of progressive criminal justice policies that lead to individuals being treated equally. So as it relates to the story of OJ, I think it's a fascinating song, a fabulous song, but we have to put it in context about really what what Jay-Z is talking about. And yeah, it's about OJ, but really what he's talking about is the ways that tokenization can lead to people thinking that they are better than, thinking that they are more deserving, thinking that all of a sudden that they are too good to experience certain things. And I think for OJ, he'll probably always be the same. He's going to get out and be the same OJ. But at the same time, for other individuals in society, this is what they are going through, dealing with a lot of these dichotomies, whether they be light skin and dark skin, that didn't center around black folks, right? This really came from a currency being placed on lighter skinned individuals, whether that be them being put in the house all the way up to the present with individuals who are lighter skinned being afforded more opportunities for upper mobility. A fascinating study actually is that lighter skinned women prisoners in North Carolina are actually given less time in prison simply because of their skin tone, even controlling for the types of crimes they did and other sorts of things. So, as always, conversations matter like Black Lives and Books, and I hope this has sparked one.